Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh here with you guys on a Monday with 11 games in the NBA. That little weird time between Christmas and New Year's, but we got plenty of NBA action tonight. Going to be taking a look at some best bets that we have and some sides and totals looks. Also have our player props in here. So make sure you are subscribed to that channel. Continue to follow along with us all season. Let's kick it off with this Cavs and Spurs game, Nate, and talk about why you're going under on a very high total here.
Yeah, it keeps climbing. I mean, open at 242 and now it's up near 245. It was a letdown spot for the Spurs last time out against Utah, giving up 127. I think that's inflating this number to think that the Spurs don't play defense anymore. They're just a shootout team. Like when they were up, they were playing insanely good defense against OKC. Then a little bit of a letdown, like I'm saying, emotionally. And most importantly, I mean, we have Wemby now playing 30 plus minutes, which is going to obviously favor any under. They're allowing 110 at home with Wemby. They're 8-4 to the under as home favorites, which usually means they've had the man. They play slower, and they score fewer points per game because they play slower. And then you see similar splits if De'Aaron Fox sits too. That's going to hurt the offense, help the defense a little bit, according to the splits. Last matchup between these teams, Cleveland scored 130, and I think that is also inflating this a bit. But you got to look at the people playing in that was misleading. Teams walked to the rim, no Wemby or Cornette, no Jared Allen, and now you look at Mobley back, but on a minutes limit. So that makes me favor the Spurs if we are taking a side here. But I think, the Spurs, we see them come out hot like on Christmas Day against the Thunder and then just buckle down defensively. That game still somehow went under despite being on pace for like 300 points. I think as this game wears on, Wemby and that defense is just going to push the number down.
Yeah, that's fair. De'Aaron Fox, I think, is going to play in this game. Looked like he was at shoot around. I don't necessarily. It's weird. Like, I actually don't think he contributes to the over quite as much as he did when he was in, say, Sacramento and pushing the pace a ton. He's actually the veteran settle things down guy for this squad, and we've seen that now in the games against OKC when they shot lights out. They definitely flew over this, but I think they'll be able to handle the Cleveland offense a bit better. Is really the key here. I mean, they're top 5 in offense. They're top 5 in defense. They just had a really, really big letdown game against the Jazz, who had a couple players play outside of their skills set probably. And so, they should probably handle business here too. I still don't believe in the Cavs. If Evan Mobley is off that minutes amount, I think there's a real possibility he gets closer to 30 in this one than he's been in the last few games. Just like that, more for the defense, obviously. So let me get over to the Knicks and Pellies in Nolans here. Knicks are bad as a road favorite. They're bad on the road in general, to be honest. Like, they're just not the same team that they are at home. 6-7 on the road this season, scoring $116. Their games are basically at 232. It's basically like a 116 look here for them when they're on the road, but they're 3-7 when they're the favorite on the road. And another key stat here, let me just throw a bunch of numbers at you. Josh Hart's not playing. That's bad. They are 19-9 when Josh Hart's in the starting lineup this season. He won't be in that starting lineup today. So you do the math on where they're at without him there. The last thing, obviously, Mitch Rob. If you're talking about a guy with points in the paint, nobody has a bigger disparity, and that includes Walker Kessler, where the Jazz are like the worst rim team in the league without him and one of the best with him. Still not as big of a disparity as Mitch Rob, and it's fewer minutes for Mitch Rob than Walker Kessler was playing. But without Mitch Rob on the court, they are basically the worst paint defense in the league. They're giving up 2 paint points per minute, almost like 1.8 points per minute in the paint without Mitch Rob on the court per 100 possessions. Like, it's just wild how bad they are. It makes complete sense. Like, there's nobody to protect the rim. You're really relying on OG and Mikal Bridges to keep guys from getting in the paint. And if they don't, then it's just, Christmas for whoever gets in there. So I think Zion's in for a big game in this one for sure. Once I see no rim protection for the Knicks, he's been getting up to closer to 30. I think if they're in this game, he stays in it in the fourth quarter for, to get up to 30 minutes. He's been at 28, 29 anyway. So no real stretch to imagine he plays 32 in this one. And the Pelicans at home, they've been a bit better, not on defense, but they've been playing faster and they've been playing better offense. So that's why this total has jumped up to 246.5. And that just tells me the Pelicans are in line for to be able to hang around in this game.
Yeah, I mean, talk about an emotional letdown spot after treating Christmas Day like it was a championship and the NBA Cup. And now, you go on this little road trip and you go to the Spurs in 2 nights on Christmas Eve, on New Year's Eve. So the Knicks, probably not going to be taking the Pelicans too seriously. And you see that with the injury report with guys being out. Bucks -3. I believe it's 3.5 everywhere now because people are just crunching the numbers here, like, wait, Bucks best players back, Hornets best players missing the first game of the year for him. And yes, that is Con Knippel. The best player on the Charlotte Hornets is missing his first game, and that makes everybody run to back the other side because I don't think we're relying on LaMelo Ball to be consistent. It's not a very good matchup for the other wings here, Miller and Bridges. And for my side, like when Giannis is out there and he has a guy setting him up in KPJ, I think the Bucks are going to be pretty good, at least good enough to handle below 500 teams. They won 3 of the last 4 in that situation. And the one they lost was that weird game at Washington. Giannis did foul out in that one. Clearly overlooked that, but Giannis after the Bulls win is just saying like my legacy's on the line. Like I'm going out there giving 100%, basically just trying not to look like he's quitting on his team, or trying to drag this team to some sort of contention if he's not going to wind up getting traded. So I think they're back fully, the Bucks, in terms of just going for it now, no longer being that kind of doormat. I think we talked last week when they were playing the Pacers about like, this is just the sad bowl, but then Bucks smoked them, right? And I think, yeah, they're going to handle business against below average teams. The last meeting between these teams, it's relevant because Khan shot 72% true shooting, 32 points to carry that game into overtime because Diabate, who's going to be manning the center position alone tonight, was a -16 and fouled out because Milwaukee shot 65% from the floor. I don't know how that game was close. I guess because they gave up a ton of points off turnovers because they didn't have KPJ kind of initiating offense, perhaps, is why there were so many turnovers from Milwaukee there. But I think they can handle business here in the rematch.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I was going to go right to this game as well. Giannis is still on that minutes limit, but like 26 minutes of Giannis in this game is going to be enough, I would imagine, to like expand a lead. And yeah, guys like Kalkbrenner and Plumlee missing makes you nervous for Moussa as the rim protector. His rebounds are at about 11.5, and they haven't gone higher than that, even though he's the starter. And we've seen it as high as 12 or 13.5 because there's some fear of Giannis being on the court, and also just the likelihood of him getting into foul trouble, like we said, when he's responsible for protecting that rim by himself all game. So let's go to this Rockets and Pacers game where I'm going to take the Rockets to keep going on offense here. 117.5 on the team total, going over on that against this awful Pacers defense. And yeah, Nesmith is back. He's still on a minutes restriction there. Probably not getting higher than 20. And that's about it for guys that I would tell you, like, I feel like they can hang on defense. We might not have Jay Huff in this game. We already don't have Isaiah Jackson in this game. I don't think Şengün plays because of that. Like, I don't think he needs to. There's no center on the other team to really stop him. Like, James Wiseman isn't even on this team anymore. They might have signed Micah Potter. I'm scratching for looking for centers for Indy and how they're going to stop things. But the other thing here is they're not the same Indy defense that we've seen in the past, limiting catch and shoot, limiting spot ups. They're not doing that now. They're also terrible in isolation, which is kind of how they've always been because they don't really double team, and they're still not double teaming. But that's just bad against the Rockets, who get 66% of their points come from twos. They don't really need the three, and that's really the only area of the floor that the Pacers have like focused on defending is the 3-pointer. That's not what the Rockets do. They're going to drive. They're going to crash the offensive boards against the worst rebounding team in the league at this point. When you look at their pace combined with their inability to board, yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunities on the glass, a lot of free throws probably coming. So there's a lot of guys like Reed Shepherd and Tariq Eason. Those are the two guys we're kind of also eyeing here as guys to like come in, get 15 plus points, and they're guys with lower lines than that for their points. So I think this is going to be blowout city, and I think that the Rockets backups are going to come in and keep finishing the job for the points.
Yeah, definitely a game you could like stack with props if you tell yourself a story that they're going to run away with this. I mean, Pacers are pretty much letting go of the rope already at this point. Nothing says tanking like starting Ethan Thompson, right? And with no centers, yeah, I mean, Steven Adams could have like 10 rebounds in 18 minutes in this game. Yeah, stack. He's just going to like hold off Pascal Siakam with one arm and grab the board with the other. Going to be pretty easy work. Player props, let's go Ant-Man, because he's playing the Chicago Bulls, because the Wolves are coming off a bad loss at home against the Nets. I will point out he's 4-2 to the over versus number after a loss. I'll also point out Brooklyn is number 1 limiting point guards in the last 15 points per game. You could call them the Star Destroyer matchup, if you will. They shut down Maxey a couple games ago. did a pretty good job on Ant. He still scored 28 points, though. But you compare that to Chicago, which is allowing 30 points, double the amount of points to the primary ball handler in their last 7, have had no answers for Ant, who's averaged 35 his last 4 against Chicago on 38% usage, 41 last season once they got Josh Giddey in the lineup. And Giddey has really bad numbers against the Wolves, as you'd expect, shot 31% on twos in their matchups. So initially, I was just looking at Ant 25 plus and Wolves adjusted spread or 30 plus in a win. And definitely ways you can correlate this is just like he's gonna take them to victory here. The Bulls, they have 0 rim protection, as we know, especially as they're not even going to have Zach Collins on any sort of minutes because he's out. They're also allowing the most corner threes in the last 7 as they try to adjust to their complete lack of rim protection, and their 5th worst guarding the pick and roll, worst by effective field goal percentage. So that to me is where I get the assists, even though Ant hasn't really had that spike in actual assists. He's going to be playmaking. I think the Bulls will send multiple bodies because they've been burned by him so many times that I think he's game for the 5 assists that would get you good plus money here. And maybe that does pull you over the 30.5 points line if he does get 5 plus assists.
Yeah, his assists are super low still, I believe. They opened at like 3.5, and it was just like this magical moment of like, yeah, he hasn't been getting assists lately against the Knicks, Nuggets, Nets, and it is up to 4.5 again. The 3.5 was just like, whoa, they're playing the Bulls. They just played a bunch of harsh defenses in over their last like 5 games, and so you lower their lines as they come up against the cupcake defense. Beautiful, thank you. But then, because things are sharper this year than they've probably ever been, it's already at 4.5, and it's plus money at 4.5. But yeah, you look at the recent numbers, he hasn't really been hitting over 4. But again, this is just a depressed line because the last like 6 games have included the Suns, the Thunder, the Knicks, the Nuggets, and by the way, the best defense in the league over the last month, the Brooklyn Nets. So let's go over to the that's a true stat. I'm not even making that up. Bobby Portis. I think he's depressed in his line. He's a happy guy. Look at his eyes. But his lines are depressed because of the fact that Giannis is back. But Giannis is going to play 26. And that means Bobby's getting at least 22. And the other game, he got 24, right? He played like a minute with Giannis on the floor at the same time. He is definitely still the Giannis backup here. But this is a game that we love without centers or bigs for the other team. Like Bobby Portis comes in. I could see him getting his like 8 and 5 in the first first half, essentially looking really good with the way that he's going to come out and shoot. He still had like a 28% usage percentage in the last game with Giannis back. Like Bobby's that dude coming off the bench, and he's going to pull. There's no Gary Trent, which is relevant because Ryan Reynolds is in the starting lineup, AJ Green, and Kevin Porter Jr. All 3 of those guys in the starting lineup. There's not much offense coming off the bench for this team now. You've got it all on the starting lineup. So when Bobby comes in without Giannis on the floor, it's going to be his world a lot, and he's going to be one of the first options. He's going to have a good matchup. Probably either somebody undersized like Miles Bridges, probably going to be playing on him from that power forward spot, but it's just not something that you like for the defense there when Bobby's going to be able to sort of either get into the lane or hit that jumper. So love him to be able to get the points, especially at 11.5, but love putting them together because I think they're both low in the rebounds as well.
Yeah, and I haven't been impressed with Bridges' effort on the boards lately. I think he's kind of like loafing out there, and other than Diabate, I don't think anybody else is really going to be keeping Bobby off the boards. That's part of the cap for liking the Bucks here, is that they just have more size and physicality with him and Turner as well, and the Hornets just have one true center in there. All right, Blazers are hosting the Mavs, and as you pointed out, they don't have much besides Avdia and Sharpe on offense right now. It's like Caleb Love after that, I guess. I mean, Jeremy Grant almost certainly going to be out again, and in the last 5 without Grant, Sharpe has taken off. I mean, his last 6 at home, 25 a game. The peripherals have not been there, but I'm adding them here because the Dallas Mavericks in their last 7, allowing the 3rd most assists per game, 4th most points overall. And for what it's worth, they allowed the most rebounds to shooting guards on the season. Probably has something to do with their oversized lineups. And then you get guys in there, who are playing against bigger guys, able to outmaneuver them. I don't know what the exact X's and O's. I'm curious to get your thoughts on why that is. But in any case, Sharpe has had a lot of success against this oversized Mavs team. He scored 36 last meeting on 32 shots and led the team in assist to pass ratio, got 6 dimes in there, has gotten the peripherals in 3 straight matchups against Dallas for whatever it's worth. And yeah, but overall, it's just the pure usage, right? I mean, 34% usage without Jeremy Grant on the season. Uh, and getting hot lately, coming off a 5 for 8 night from downtown. And this Mavs defense is struggling, especially because Anthony Davis, I don't think he's going to play. I mean, really weird mixed reporting over the weekend as far as like he's going to be out a couple weeks. Oh, he's day to day. But in any case, yeah, you can't really expect a full defensive effort from AD.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean. Dallas, they're trying to trade AD. That's got to be what's going on here. And there's weirdness with you don't want him to be hurt because you want to trade him, but you don't want to put him out there because you don't want him to get hurt. So how do you report that? You have to report your injury stuff every 15 minutes now in the NBA. I don't know, but this is a defense that's in flux, and like when it's all there and healthy, it's a top 10 defense. It's proven that. And Jay Kidd is a huge part of that, as we know, with the way he constructs his defenses. But I would guess that part of the reason here is like they don't have much in the way of guards for Dallas. They just have really long, rangy guys that are going to be good at stopping you if you once you're in the paint. But now there's no Lively. There's still no anybody, man. Gafford's getting limited minutes, and then AD probably not playing. Shaedon Sharpe should have a good time at the rim, which is always what you want, so that you don't have to rely on the threes, because him getting to the rim then opens up the 3-point shot for him. And I'm good with all of it, because it does seem like they've just been like, all right, man, Denny, Shaedon, that's it. That's all we've got this season. We're really not trying for much here. Let's make sure Klingon gets his run as well. And that's about it. Klingon probably a pretty good bet in this one as well, just because of the lack of centers down low for the Mavs. But speaking of lack of centers, we've mentioned it now multiple times. The Hornets don't have any, except for this man who averages a rebound chance once every like 48 seconds that he's on the floor. A minute and 15 seconds. Other way, minute and 15 seconds. He's averaging a rebound chance that he's out there. And that actually holds true when he plays extrapolated minutes, when he goes from his like 23 minutes a night, where he's averaging 18 rebound chances per game in those 18 minutes at about 8.5, 9 boards. You extrapolate that out. Once you get him above 30 minutes, man, yeah, he's looking at about 14.5 boards per game on 28.5 rebound chances. That's silly. That's really silly. And that's what he's out there to do, especially now that like it's just like we said, he's the one crashing the boards. He's also not getting any looks. You've still got Colin Sexton now back out there, Trey Mann back out there. There's not a lot of shots to go around between all those guys, and even without Con out there, right? So Moussa is not going to be a focal point of the offense necessarily, but he might get there with the tip-ins alone, because he will be crashing those boards a ton. So look, man, if you're giving him 30, 32 minutes even, and he could play more than that if he stays out of foul trouble, I have him projected for like 13.5, 14 rebounds. I have no problem him getting 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's a black and blue Eastern Conference game. It's a 227 total, which is low for today's NBA. And yeah, expecting some missed shots and only one guy to gobble them up. Yeah, we talked about it multiple times. His minutes are very secure tonight, based on what the Hornets are throwing out there.
Sure looks like. Yeah, this is going to be a fun game to bet, I think. But that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Coming back to you with NBA action each and every weekday. So until we see you next, happy betting.